Namaste and greetings everyone. I am just quickly checking if we are live. Yes, it shows we are live. So I'm back with yet another episode. And this is on mid-career, which is something I now normally talk about a lot. Uh, as I keep saying, our mid-career is the longest phase of our life, personal or professional. If you look at it, perhaps only a long marriage life can be longer than the mid-career that we have. So pretty much after your career generally starts before you get married, and in many cases this phase is very very long, and we have only started to realize this in the last few years, that mid-career crisis or mid-career blues are very dominant in our life, and we don't really realize. If you realize that maybe around 25 your mid-career starts and could last up to 55, 60, even more, because many of us don't get it to or don't make it to senior management, which basically means that obviously it is because of the pyramid of corporate life, which is okay, right? Not everybody will make it to very senior management, and we have to recognize, understand, and accept that fact. But all this understanding doesn't make the mid career easy. You can understand it, but it doesn't make the journey any easy. It may make the destination or make the acceptance easier, but it doesn't make the journey easier. So my purpose these days, in my YouTube and LinkedIn work, is more around making this journey a little easier for all of us, and that's what I try and do. Mid career is full of crisis points, and I often call them mid career blues. And we all face them. I'm facing them. Chances are you are facing them. And but we all can help each other. My name is Anshuman Tiwari, and this is your channel, Manage Better. This is episode number 49, right? Live episode 49. And today we'll be speaking to Vivek Khandelwal, a career coach and a work readiness expert who has helped hundreds of people to navigate this mid career journey. That's what we are here for. Before we dive deeper, a quick check for people on LinkedIn. Yes, I can see quite a few people on LinkedIn there. Very soon, more people are. Yeah, YouTube also I can see. And this is one of the first episodes which will be also going streaming live on Vivek's handle. So if you are a fan of Vivek and are joining, please let him know. He will be happy to hear from you. With that, Vivek ji, namaskar, and welcome to the show. A little bit more about you. Well, I know that you don't like me talking about you when you are on camera, but for our audience, it is important to know the man that Vivek Khandelwal is. So, of course, Vivek and I know each other more from being together on the LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program that we were both part of, and since then, it's been a mutual respect and friendship that has prospered. And it is my pleasure today to finally invite him to my show. I should have done this a lot earlier, but scheduling and other issues always come make it a little difficult. But nevertheless, here is Vivek for you. So a little bit more about him. He's of course, a career coach, like I said, a work readiness expert, is highly relationship and result oriented. I can certainly say that he's very network driven also, and has over 60,000 hours of experience in consumer spaces around urban and rural retailing. So in many ways, a retailing expert in across all new age formats like e-commerce, digital marketing, and those things as well. But that's not the only reason he's here. He's a very, I would say, accomplished career coach himself, and has helped several people through his time on Topmate and other such platforms as well. And highly generous with his time. And I have benefited a lot from his advice quite often. Career wise, he's had a long career in multiple retail formats, including the regular retail that we know, FMCG, fashion, wellness, toys, across countries including US, Switzerland, Germany, France, South Africa, Vietnam. I I'm sure I missed a few. So but let it be, right? So the what also impresses me, Vivek, about you is that you have really imbibed what upskilling and continued learning is, right? As I was researching for the show, I noticed that you've not only done several courses, including long duration courses from IIMs, Indian Institute of Management, but also been a visiting faculty guest speaker at several institutes, which is highly, I would say, commendable, because as we get a little senior in our career, sometimes we forget to upskill ourselves. We keep telling everybody else to upskill, but we sometimes forget to upskill ourselves. So that is something I will touch upon as I go into deeper into the show. But thank you very much. One other thing which is important about Vivek is that he's highly involved in the social sector, been with the Rotary Club and other associations for many years, more than 25 years actually with Rotary, and has been a past president as well. So that is commendable, managing a corporate career, now coaching related stuff, and also being so involved in social initiatives is highly commendable. So welcome once again, Vivek. Any opening comments you have before we get
First,
deeper in the
my,
show?
my opening comments really is, first of all, deepest sense of gratitude, Anshuman, to you for all of those amazing and incredible words. I don't even know whether I really deserve all of them, but I think I really humbly accept every single word that you've spoken about me. To all the awesome audience, thank you so much for taking time out to be here. I want to express my gratitude to you right at the beginning of this entire discussion that we are going to embarking on, because you all had choices, but you took the time out to be here in this event, and that truly means a lot to both myself as well as to Anshuman. Anshuman, I think you've really spoken and set the context so beautifully. My opening comment really would be about you, Anshuman. The moment I think about you as a human being, the one word that really connects with me is quality. And the entire event that you have organized, which is Manage Better, that is so deeply and I would say it is very deeply embedded and integrated into quality as well as Manage Better. The moment you think about Manage Better, anything to become better, it is never about quantity, it is always about quality. And when we have to speak about mid career is a phase where we talk about quality. What is the quality of work that an individual does that makes that human being, that makes that individual to stand out really amongst other people? So I've seen you as a human being who eats quality, who sleeps quality, who walks quality, who talks quality, and that is what I've really learned from you over 1 year of association that I've had with you. I think I've really been lucky enough to be part of this first ever LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program that brought me in touch with you, with such an awesome you and other incredible 198 other human beings of different age groups, right from age 20 to probably as good as over and above 55 or 60 years of age as well. And there's been so much of learnings that have really come forward. And I completely agree that when you spoke about mid-career, there are so many different nuances that comes in an individual's career, and one size doesn't fit all. जैसा हम हमेशा बात करते हैं, जो चीज आपके लिए अप्लाई करती है वो मेरे लिए अप्लाई नहीं करेगी, जो मेरे लिए अप्लाई करती है वो ह्यूमन बीइंग एक्स और या वाई या जेड के लिए अप्लाई नहीं करती. So I think that sets the tone of our entire discussion. Happy to get going deeper into it, Anshuman.
No, thank you, Vivek, for your kind words, as well as setting some context and some boundary as well. Right, like all shows, we can only dive deeper up to a certain point, but this show is also about making sure that the audience recognizes this as a topic, and if they then want to explore it further, there are other avenues, including coming to you and me. We also have offer our time as coaches, so that is also, of course, later, right? But first, let's try and get a little deeper into what are these mid-career blues. So today you are the guest, I will learn from you. And first one, what exactly, according to you, are mid-career blues? Why, while even if you forget the term, what are mid-career blues? What are the symptoms like? So when we say that we are unwell, but fever is really the symptom. It is not the root cause, or it is not even one of the causes. It is just the symptom. There might be some underlying cause. So what, according to you, are the symptoms for mid-career blues? And then we of course get deeper into the topic.
Yeah, so I think very aptly put by you in terms of symptom and the actual detailing, Anshuman. I would really say that the symptoms could really vary from individual to individual, but some triggers which can be connected at a deeper level with symptoms could be like the way we've always heard saying, सोमवार की सुबह हुई on a typical Monday morning, when an individual doesn't feel like going to office, when an individual really feels disconnected, saying, okay, what am I really doing? Is it really adding any value to myself, to work? When an individual doesn't really feel connected to the kind of work that he or she is really doing on a day in, day out basis. Well, money has one part of it, but everything is not connected to money. And that is where the entire aspect of, say, ikigai, or the entire aspect of what you love, you should do that. And as long as it fetches enough money to you, that is the real power. So I would say that the early symptoms that one should really look forward is, what is it that they really feel about the work that they are doing? Do they really feel that they're adding value to themselves? Do they really feel that they are able to add and contribute to whatever work or assignment that they are responsible for? I have never ever felt that any work is high or low. अगर मैं एक हाउसकीपिंग के इंडिविजुअल को देखूं, तो वो जो साफ सफाई करते हैं, whatever cleaning that a housekeeping guy does in the workplace environment, that adds so much of value to the workplace. Similarly, when I look at a CEO, whatever engagement that the CEO is supposed to do, as long as the CEO is able to inspire, motivate, take the people along in the journey with empathy, with authenticity, that is the role that he or she really plays. So at different level, the symptoms could be very, very different. But the one trigger that is very important is connectedness. Are people really connected to what they are really doing day in, day out basis? So that's the one word that really comes to my mind, Anshuman.
No, totally. And if I may add a little bit, in
Yeah.
terms of other symptoms, also, we often feel, and since I speak to a lot of people these days around mid career coaching, uh, we find a certain, like you said, certain level of disconnectedness.
Yes.
And that, when you get a little deeper, that is also, maybe all across the person. And that starts seeping into personal life, professional life, and very soon it becomes all encompassing. And this is one of those areas. And where maybe about 2 weeks back, I was on another podcast where I said that this is the real pandemic that nobody is talking about, because they, millions and millions of people are in mid career and are struggling. I many times think that the great resignation that became very famous about 1.5, 2 years ago was nothing but a symptomatic evidence of mid career blues or mid career crisis. People found themselves very difficult. It was difficult for them to cope up with what was happening, and they found certain comfort in a newfound work environment and so on. That led to a series of things like great resignation and later on quiet quitting and other similar topics. So all these are actually symptoms. The cause could be completely different somewhere, right?
I would
So
like to add another element here, Anshuman, in continuation to what you have said. See, in the last 2 years, since the onset of the pandemic, the word mental health has become an acceptable norm today.
correct.
Prior to the pandemic, if we would have told anyone, your workplace environment, maybe agar koi HR की बात करता, in any workplace environment, any HR or any employee would have said that, okay, I am facing a bit of depression, or I am facing mental health issue. People would have said, oh, are you really crazy about it? And today, every organization, HR, fraternity, every leader is talking about mental health, saying how do we really, uplift the lives of our employees, uplift the lives of their family members, so that they are able to cope up not just at work but at an individual level as well. Yesterday, in fact, was World Health Day, Anshuman, and you talk about any organization, big, small in size, irrespective of anything, everyone was talking about World Health Day. यार आप क्या करते हो अपने लिए? What are the set of things that you do every single day in the form of consistency? So little things, but a lot of impact. Like for example, at a workplace environment, when an individual starts to feel irritated with small little things and starts to lose patience, starts to lose perseverance, that is also a form of a symptom, saying, why is something like this happening with me? I was never like this. Why am I getting irritated? Can't I manage myself? Can't people have confusion? They can always come back to me. And I think as a mentor or a coach, that is becoming extremely important for us, that we empathize with other individuals, we understand them, and that is where the role of organizations to manage the mid-career blues becomes all the more important. That they need to get on board such kind of mentors or coaches who can really empathize, because empathy as a value is predominantly written for a lot of organizations in their value system. But how many of them actually follow that in reality? That's a
Yeah.
$1 million question in my mind, Anshuman. So that is just to take that conversation forward from where you really left.
No, very well said. And you know, whether this is a mental health situation or not, we will leave it to the medical profession or the experts who are more aware of this. But what you pointed out is that just as those topics are becoming more acceptable, it should at some point become acceptable to talk about mid-career blues and crises that people face in mid-career, with disengagement or disenchantment becoming one of the symptoms. There are many more symptoms which we will capture. I often also talk about something that, like quitting smoking. Millions of people smoke. Everybody, each of them knows that, it is not good for their health.
Yes.
And there are many other parallels. Just so that, people who smoke don't feel bad about it, that I'm picking on them. But, including, increasing weight and sedentary lifestyle, all of us know that it is not good for our health. So in a way, it is a very stark situation where we know it is not good. Similarly, we also know that the disengagement and the disenchantment and the lack of drive that we face during mid crisis or mid career crisis is also not good for our career. But we are not able to pull ourselves out of it. Just as many smokers find it very difficult, most smokers find it very difficult to pull out of the smoking habit in spite of knowing all the disadvantages or health issues related with it. Same happens for mid career. Would you agree? And are there any parallels, or this is a futile comparison?
No, I would say I completely agree to it. It is not at all a futile comparison. Okay, it's a very, very relatable analogy, Anshuman, and there could be plethora of examples that we can discuss. In fact, this entire session will be less to discuss just on this particular topic. I'll give you a classic example. Okay,
Sure.
now what really happens in any workplace environment, Anshuman? Uh, People, even at a mid-career, they quickly start to get into comparison. This guy is the assistant vice president. This guy doesn't work. I work better than this individual. This guy is a vice president. What does this guy really do? This guy doesn't even walk and talk to their employees. I am saying, who am I or who is this individual to start judging all the other individuals? They are meant to do their own set of stuffs. Can we start focusing on our own selves? Am I becoming better every single day? Just like the theme of this entire talk or entire live show is manage better, similarly akin to that, it is extremely important for us as individuals to start managing ourselves better, and managing ourselves better not just in terms of words but in terms of thoughts and actions also. A classic example could be the moment you think about, say, annual appraisals. How many leaders actually sit and involve their subordinates to tell them, saying, okay, these are the specific set of examples that I would like to really give you. This can actually help you to become better. Okay, we all talk about constructive criticism, right? That, okay, people should have the appetite to accept feedback, blah, blah, blah. It is like saying that, okay, like the way you spoke about the example of cigarette smoking. If one gets into the root to say, आप cigarette smoke कर रहे हो, उसका ये impact है. These are the kind of impacts that are happening. Similarly, when a leader starts to talk to their subordinate, Anshuman, where they start to talk about saying, these are the 5 instances I saw in the last 6 months. The way you managed, if you would have done it this way, this could have been the impact. So that goes deeper into the individual, and then the individual starts to work in a manner where they are able to improve and exhibit better performance. And exhibiting better performance means they feel a lot more connected, saying, okay, someone is looking at me at a deeper level, not just from a transactional perspective, but with a deeper intent for me to become better. Now, this could be one such example. There could be plethora of other examples. Let's look at another scenario. Another scenario is burnout at a workplace. Burnout at a workplace is similar to burning out with having cigarettes. That could be another analogy. Now, why do people really burn out at workplace? Well, there could be a variety of different reasons why burnout happens. But let's pick up one or two and then let's go deeper into that example. Now, burnout could happen because people are so deeply involved and get emotionally attached to a situation, saying ye kaam to aise hi hona chahiye, this is what I feel and this is the right way. Are you really open to accepting, and are you really aware that other people can at least be 10% right, if not 100%? The moment one gets into that kind of a mindset that the other individual can at least be 10% right, 10% only, then also our agility and our mental appetite to accept and overcome and believe that other individual can be right will really be helpful. So these are two similar set of things that comes to my mind on an immediate basis, Anshuman. Anshuman, you're on mute. Anshuman, you've gone on mute.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
this is a trouble with a physical speaker and a on-screen speaker.
Yeah, technology always happens. So I think that's part of life. Yeah, yeah.
The what as you were speaking, something occurred to me that some years ago, in fact 3 years in a row, I participated in a 100-kilometer walk, charity walk,
I've
right?
I
So
think I've seen some of your posts also on LinkedIn connected to that,
yeah,
connected to your running
I have
habits.
I've drawn a lot of inspiration from what happened, and since I did it 3 times, there is some mental learning from first to second to third and so on.
Yeah,
um, but more about that later. But what I wanted to share is that it was during some of those walks, and very long walks, because 100-kilometer in like 1.5 days, a little more than one day, is quite a lot, right? And it is a team walk, so you are walking along with three other people as a team of four, and
yeah,
other team members bring food and other amenities and maybe medical facilities for you at the junctions or breaks that are there. And that is when you start realizing that this is like your career. It is exactly like your career. It's a long walk. Even if you walked a little further, you cannot walk more beyond a certain checkpoint, because you have to bring your team with you. So once that
yeah.
team comes, you all check in and check out at the same time, then only you are allowed to go to the next checkpoint. And that teaches you a lot, because exactly the same happens in our career. And we can't predict. There were, in the 3 years I had different partners, so I think first and second year I had one or two common, but I had multiple, I would say, team members. And each time there was a lesson that somebody who was walking very briskly and very energetically for the first 25 kilometers suddenly lost their drive at 25, and for about 20, another 25 or 30, 40 kilometers. And since it is 100 kilometers, you see the shades of the person multiple times. What happens, including myself. I saw, uh, I remember I did 25 kilometers with a huge blister in my foot, and after a point, I told myself there is no blister. So, and you keep walking. It was actually, very bad. The medical staff had advised me not to walk, but there are many such people. And the reason I'm sharing this, Vivek, is of course not to talk about what I did in the walk, but more to draw a parallel that this is exactly what happens in our career, particularly in our mid career, because so many things are happening. You have to keep walking. You may not be first. You may not reach. You may not be even able to close. Many people actually pull out of the walk because they are not able to complete it. But as professionals, it is our duty to continue the walk. That choice
Journey.
we don't have. Right? So we covered this area, and this is a good point for me to remind all people in the audience, including YouTube and LinkedIn. And today this is on Vivek's LinkedIn as well. So, and YouTube. So people who've joined, and if you like what Vivek is saying, please follow him. And if you know him, then of course connect. But if you can't, then follow him for his fantastic inputs that he shares. And if you have some love and time left, you can look at my profile as well. And I also don't mind a few more followers every now and then. So we'll look forward to that. Also, if you have questions, Vivek has kindly agreed to take questions from the audience. So if you have questions related to the topic that we are discussing, please now feel free to add your questions. We are about 20 odd minutes into the show, so we will be soon taking some questions. Okay.
Yeah, people can
Okay.
start posting all the questions in the chat box. And I think
Correct.
Anshuman is very, very modest. You must really follow Anshuman for a variety of reasons. Huh? One such reason is that he keeps releasing his thoughts connected to books. And I tell you, people in today's day and age, they don't really have time to read books. They all want audio and they all want shortcuts. Anshuman goes very deep into that, and he writes and he brings the entire essence of a book just in the form of a few lines. So there are plethora of reasons for you to follow Anshuman. Just don't agree to his modest few little words. Anshuman, sorry that I've stolen your show for a few seconds.
No, no, no. You are the guest of honor, so I will accept anything from you today. But thank you for your kind. The books part actually is quite close to me. Sometimes, obviously, and I'll share a secret that everybody thinks that I actually read all those books completely. There are many times when I am posting about a book without reading it completely, right? So it is of course impossible in today's time and age to find that kind of time to read one book every week. And sometimes I post about books which I have read earlier. So please, if somebody thinks that I'm reading one new book every week, that's not the case. Maybe half a book every week, yes, but certainly not full.
No,
And
so
most
I'll,
of the
I'll,
time
I'll Yeah,
Kindle.
I'll add to what Anshuman is saying. See, the guys, the journey of a creator is not easy. ऐसा हमको लगता है कि भाई एक creator है तो उनके लिए तो क्या सब कुछ cake walk है, everything is so easy and hunky dory. ऐसा है नहीं in reality. To all my
Correct.
Hindi audience, I'm also adding Hindi words in between just to be a lot more relatable. The journey of a creator is pretty tough. And you see, when Anshuman is saying this, Anshuman is also associated full time as a quality professional. He adds his value to the lives of so many people, and so is my endeavor as well. I am associated with so many people, and I keep trying. I do my bit to help them grow in their own career. So it's very important to have that 360-degree approach and have a holistic viewpoint of a different set of things to be able to express and align your thoughts. So I think that is what Anshuman has been trying to express. I thought I must just add value from my side as to what is really the life of a creator. Yeah, Anshuman, back to you. Yeah.
No, no, well said, and I'm glad you brought it out. There are a couple of questions. Uh, I think my namesake Anshuman Thakur is asking whether the questions to be posted in the chat box. Yes, of course, Anshuman. If you mean the chat box, as in if you are watching the show on and you seem to be on LinkedIn, so on the LinkedIn page where you are watching this show, below that there will be a comment section, or in some views it will be on the right hand side. So post there, and that will show on our console, and I will try and pick up your questions. So before we get a little deeper, you know, somebody you and I both know, and
Okay, an expert is asking this question. Huh? Question to the experts. What are
let's
some
hope
of the
Anand is
yeah?
not
So,
being naughty, right? So
what are some of the things one should keep in mind if they're transitioning from a job to starting their own business during mid-career phase? Anand, a very very incredible question. So I think one thing that I would like to add, and then probably Anshuman can also add, is a huge change in the mindset. Okay, so transitioning from a job, there's always this employee mindset saying, "मेरे को मेरी eligibility ये है, this is the perk that I deserve, this is what I want. Company should do X, Y, and Z for me." But the moment you transition from a job to becoming a full-time, entrepreneur or starting your own business, then you are operating more like a solopreneur until unless you start adding more people for which you have to have your own set of commitments in terms of payouts and variety of other things, engagements and stuff like that. So how do you really manage your time? How do you really prioritize those things? And then to top it up, how do you come out of that mindset where what was part of your eligibility and perk? Now you have to think twice, saying, "Can I? Are there ways and means by virtue of which I can manage the cost better?" So that is what I would like to add. Anshuman, any thought that you'd like to add to Anand's question?
I, I guess you've been in a phase where Vivek, you have seen this life, so it is a little probably credible for you to answer. I have not been an entrepreneur, but I have worked in a smaller organization where it was pretty much like being an entrepreneur. So I can possibly try. I definitely agree with you that the owner's mindset is easier in a small company or your own company, which is possibly Anand's point of view. The If I get a little peel the onion on this question, what are some of the things one should keep in mind if they're transitioning from a job or starting? I get a lot of such questions, and I keep advising everybody that please don't jump because the romance of the entrepreneur life is appealing to you. It is the after the first month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, when the money in the bank is over, all romance of all kinds is not very romantic, right? So please keep a money bank of some kind, maybe a year, maybe more. Your financial cushion should be there. In the last month only, I have spoken to two entrepreneurs who now are trying to get back to corporate life, and they wanted my advice for uh, getting back. And their venture, like many ventures, it is okay. Failure is not, something to be ashamed of. They tried something, it did not work out, but they are now, they have nothing left. They have put a lot of money in their ventures. It is not working out. They want to come back to corporate, and they are struggling. I'm sure with their talent, the struggle will be over soon. But the point I wanted to remind everybody is that when you jump to becoming an entrepreneur, 1 to 1.5 years of financial cushion is absolutely important in the transition part, um, particularly in mid-career, because assumption is that in mid-career, your other responsibilities are still not over. So your, you know, children's education, your housing needs, your retirement needs, your medical expenses. You might have elderly parents in mid-career. When you are yourself in crisis, your parents will also be there. I'm not calling them a crisis. That's a responsibility. But these are all responsibilities you can't walk away from during your mid-career, right? So that adds a little bit more, I would say, financial pressure. So thanks, Anand, for a question, out of syllabus question, but we consider you a friend. You didn't turn out to be one today, so we'll settle, we'll settle
Anand,
that.
I hope you're accepting it with a pinch of salt.
Anand is clinging to the word romance. I think weekend is going to be good for him, so we will leave that to him. But quite a few other questions have started coming in. And I think Lakshmi Narayan has an interesting one. These days, expectations are higher. Practically, the scenario in the ground is very different. How to pass the journey in today's environment, particularly. So, Vivek, question to you. It's actually more a statement, less a question. But anything you want to say about this,
Yeah,
particularly the mismatch between practical situation and the expectations that
sure.
society, family, and neighbors' dog put on us?
Yeah, sure, sure. I think it's a very very fair point, Lakshmi, that you have really put up. So you are rightly saying that the expectations are much higher, and I would say that one of the primary reason why expectations is very high is because of the this word called comparison. So that's very very common these days. People at the young age, for example, when we talk about Gen Z or Centennials, as the new term really is. By the way, I've also worked in youth marketing for some time, so I understand the entire generations of different years, and I understand also their mindset. So quickly getting into comparison is one such scenario. The other bit is the moment, see, your predecessor Anand had put across a very very apt question, and that question also, in a manner of speaking, it's also linked to this, that the scenario on the ground is very different. And when we talk about scenario on the ground being very different, is the moment someone is working as an employee, they always have this desire saying, I want to start something of my own. India soon becoming, or already has become, a startup capital of the world. Today, having your own startup hardly needs anything, but having that backup mindset and what age one is really starting the startup and with what maturity level, all of those things have a lot of bearing. So, how aware an individual is to all of these scenarios, and are they really aware in terms of what is the kind of skill set required, with whom are they really partnering on those things, what is the kind of outflow that they're doing on a day-to-day basis to manage themselves. So I think the entire appetite or aptitude, as well as appetite of, say, self-discipline, of managing your own set of distractions and awareness, all of these combinations are really going to play a huge bit when it comes to managing expectations and setting expectations and then overcoming them. So these combinations is what I think can really help an individual to perform as well as manage themselves better, Lakshmi. Anshuman, anything that you want to add? Yeah.
No, I think fair enough. I completely agree. Nothing much to add. Anshuman Thakur, who asked a question earlier about where to post, has actually posted the question now. Most of the positions nowadays are not advertised on LinkedIn or job portals. So the assumption is, of course, he's probably looking for change or a job. So should we write should we write directly to HR function or sales function? My current job function. So he's in sales. By in-mail LinkedIn premium option. This is a very very specific question, Anshuman. Highly unfair on my guest, but I will anyway ask, or otherwise I will also try. Any thoughts or insights? So, of
Yeah.
course, summarized question, Vivek, is that most of the jobs are not advertised, whether on LinkedIn or portals.
Yeah.
And Anshuman's question is, whether we should write directly to people.
No, it's a very very good question. I must put it this way, Anshuman. It's a very good question that Anshuman Thakur has put across, and I will take an attempt to answer this question, Anshuman, for you. So, see, the entire perspective you're really trying to say is, should I really do cold calling? Okay. Now, the entire point, Anshuman Thakur, really is that prior to doing cold calling, would you like to build a little bit of a relationship with the individual? Going on premium, going on email is all fine. However, I see today my inbox is fully loaded with plethora of such messages which are purely cold calling. No relationship built, no engagement, nothing, and then people just send their CV or directly कि आप मुझे job में help कर दो. Please help me in getting a job. I don't even have a context or I don't even know the individual. In what manner will I be able to help the individual? So my request, suggestion, advice, experience, and I'm sure you will have your own, and my dear friend and host Anshuman will also add his bit, is uh, if you want to use LinkedIn as a platform, LinkedIn is a very very powerful platform. To to derive a few percentage of the power of this platform is start driving better sense of engagement on this platform. You want to start writing content, do that. You don't want to start with that, that's also equally fine. But go to those set of people who are already active on the platform. Establish yourself as someone who is from HR function, who is from sales function. Start sharing your thoughts, saying who you really are. And while commenting or engaging on those posts, just don't write great, thank you, very good. Write something much deeper than that. And I see today 75% of the comments are based on that, but those 25% really stand out, the balance 25%. And I tell you, the posts that I write, I genuinely get those 25% of the comments. And I'm very happy with those 25% of the comments because people express themselves openly, they express their voice. And Anshuman Thakur, to you, the message is establish a voice of your own. Whosoever you are, try to establish a voice of your own. You may not have 100% clarity, and that's absolutely fine. None of the individuals always will have 100% clarity, but you will build it for yourself over a period of time. And the moment you walk that phase, your own self belief into your own self is going to rise considerably. And it is like a that the classic example uh, of how a tree grows. अंशुमन, वो कौन सा पेड़ है जो 5 साल नीचे नीचे
Bamboo,
ग्रो होता है? बैम्बू
Chinese
ट्री,
bamboo.
करेक्ट. हाँ, बैम्बू ट्री वो 5 साल नीचे ग्रो होता है, उसके बाद अचानक से ऑफ शूट it flies. So the same thing can happen with you, but then you have to be persistent. You have to understand that yes, every time that you write, you may not be correct. Other people can give better responses than you. So be acceptable to those things, because I have accepted this. I am very agile. My change management is extremely high, and so is the case with Anshuman Tiwari as well. I hope that helps, Anshuman Thakur. Anshuman, over to you. Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree. But I will add one quick point, and I think you touched upon it, that the while cold calling technically works, but it works when there is some warm engagement. I always say
Yes.
this, that if you have warm engagement, your cold call will be picked up. So, what is the warm engagement? Is that, like Vivek said, if you want to engage with somebody and he or she is active on LinkedIn, you have a great opportunity to engage first on the content that they are hosting or putting out on LinkedIn. And please rest assured, if you are putting meaningful comment, even if the person has thousands of responses, I can assure you they will remember your name if you have made meaningful comments 2 or 3 times, or maybe a little bit more. I've known of some, really great content creators who have thousands of responses. They also know and remember the names of the people who consistently comment, meaningful comment, not like Vivek said, what the hi, hello, thank you, and I'm looking for a job and all that. That is complete waste of time, and it actually irritates the content creator to no end. So if you are doing that to somebody, please, with folded hands, I can say that don't do that. That doesn't get you anywhere. It is only wasting your time as well and somebody else's time as well. Please engage meaningfully, have something to say, and you will be noticed. Maybe not the first time, maybe not the second, maybe the third, maybe the fifth, maybe the 10th time. But if you persist, you will be noticed. And then that is the time to offer yourself as a candidate. So just to add that, before that, it is all cold, not cold, it is frozen email, frozen calling. It is not cold. So
You've
cold
taken
call
cold to a
works.
whole new level, Anshuman, huh?
Like I said, cold works, but with warm engagement. So a little addition to that. I have one. So I've slipped into the audience questions, Vivek, a little bit. I do have some questions for you, but I think the audience questions are better actually. So we'll keep to that. Praveen
Sure.
Kumar has asked a question about what are the trending entrepreneurial opportunities that are available for mid-career professionals currently. So Praveen, I will take this. I will not even present it to Vivek. If you are falling to, if you are falling to trends, please stay away, because if you don't have core skills in the particular area which you want to start an entrepreneurial venture, or if you don't have the expertise, if you can't hire somebody with the expertise, you are only trailing a trend, or following a trend, very quickly it is 100% guaranteed failure. You will burn money, your own and somebody else's. It does not work. So I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, or people who are considering becoming an entrepreneur. And one of the advice I always give is that what do you want to sell? What is your unique stamp on that? Why will somebody buy it from you and not somebody else? Is there something in you that makes you different from the others? So that's extremely important. So trend question I generally avoid completely like plague. But let's hear from Vivek if he has anything to add on this topic.
Sure, sure. I think Anshuman, you have very aptly said, but generally this industry term called shiny object syndrome.
Correct.
ऐसा आपने कहा ना, shiny object syndrome, Praveen. The suggestion really is that anything which is shiny always has a limitation of time, as Anshuman has rightly shared. I think what is very important for you, which you might like to think over, think, reflect, retrospect for yourself, is right from your early years, in your growing years, what is it that you connected at a deeper level with yourself on? What were your hobbies? Has been your passion? What has been the skill area that you have developed yourself over a period of time? For example, in your college years, you've done computer science. I'm just taking a hypothetical example, Praveen. And then today we are talking about AI, ML, AR, VR. So are you able to connect with any of those areas at a deeper level? If yes, in what manner can you contribute? First of all, going deeper into that area to understand, is there anything in for me? Will I be in a position to contribute any manner? Then establishing yourself as an individual in that domain, identifying like-minded people, or trying to build your own audience, or trying to build your own authority. Now, LinkedIn is also a beautiful platform where you can start to build your own authority, like hundreds and thousands of people are doing every single day. But then authority building doesn't mean also typically copy pasting from Google, which is what a lot of people also equally do. Authority building means that you create a voice of your own. You start to build little by little, step by step. You start to establish yourself, saying, "This is what I think. This is where the trend can head to, and this is what I contribute on." When you establish yourself in that domain or in that fashion, what will happen is this is going to last long. Even if you're associated with a full-time profession, you can start to nurture this so that you have every single day you have something to look up to. After your 9 to 5, you know where you're going to spend your time on, and that is the area, that is that junction which is extremely important, Praveen, which can add humongous degree of value for yourself. And you will start to feel for yourself, saying, okay, I'm really doing something incredible.
Absolutely. We'll take one more question and then probably revert to some of our questions. Because, common friend, what is the role of financial stability to navigate mid-career blues? I did speak about this, Vikas, a little earlier, and I will, of course, invite Vivek's comments. But I'm very, I would say, insistent on financial stability. Of course, if you have some kind of backup in terms of family, parental, spousal, or other financial stability factors, it is different, right? So, because if something really goes wrong, you can hope to fall back. But if those are not available or not available in adequate, then it is extremely important that there is some financial cushion built which can manage. And this does not include the idea that I'm saying that one will want to become a entrepreneur or something. Even for mid-career accidents, I know my friends and colleagues, classmates who are obviously around my age as well, around about 50 plus minus. They lost out on their jobs, and some of them are struggling really bad. And this could happen to any of us. Times are complex; they will get more complex. We are already in the middle of some kind of a pseudo recession. I say pseudo only because it is only part of the world that is facing a little stricter one. But look, today's reality, because you know this, that at least much of the tech sector or IT and related sector, which is highly available on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's main market is that sector. Plumbers and carpenters and nurses and technicians are not on LinkedIn as of yet. So who are the people? They are the people who are in the sectors that I mentioned. Many of these sector, the parent companies are in the Americas or in those regions. So even if there is no recession in India or limited one, that recession will actually follow us here. So frugal living, saving aggressively, saving not only for a rainy day but for every day is extremely important. So I would definitely say role of financial stability today in mid career is extremely important. Before anybody buys that shiny phone, or a new car which they don't need, and only push up the profits of the phone company and the car company, please think, if you lose your job 3 months, 6 months down the line, do you have the cushion to survive another year or 1.5 years or 2 years, and in some cases even more? Right? So that was something. Sorry, I made it a little somber, but no intent. But this is a serious topic, so I had no choice but to give you a little serious answer, Vikas. But thanks for the question, Vikas. Anything, Vivek? Anything to add?
Yeah, so let me make this entirely different. While Anshuman has made it a little heavy, I will try to make it a little lighter so that overall it balances out very well. So, by the way,
Sure.
Vikas, the moment I think about you, I look at that little white dot which is appearing on your T-shirt, HR, in my heart. And Vikas, you are fresh from the Open LinkedIn Top Voice. So, to all the audience, here is a question from a LinkedIn Top Voice. Vikas Dua, a good friend, someone whom I respect, and he's a HR head of an organization. He speaks about HR day in, day out. So I think, Vikas, coming to this question, I feel, see, today, the day and age of freelancing or developing a passive income has got nothing to do with age. So everyone at every possible age can get into that beyond their core job. So one of the ways to navigate mid-career blues is to associate yourself something beyond the core job responsibility so that you start to build a cushion for yourself, and it also connects at a deeper level with your own passion. And the passion for an individual could be in any domain. It could be graphic designing, it could be mentoring, it could be coaching, it could be creating some form of an art, or it could be in any other fashion. People have the habit of taking up cooking classes or cooking food or running something from home. There's so many different things. And the best part is, I'm sure you as HR will also accept that today organizations have also started to become a lot more open about it. While IT organization, there's a different scenario. I'm not getting there as to what has really happened with Infosys, Wipros of the world. I'm not getting there. But in general, organizations have become a lot more open to the perspective, saying mental health, one of the ways to manage and transition the well-being of an employee is by encouraging the employee to do things beyond their own work. It is not like the only hobby that I have is just work. मैं 9 to 5 भी वर्क करूंगा, रात में भी वर्क करूंगा, सुबह भी वर्क करूंगा, and 24 घंटे यही करूंगा. We have to navigate beyond that life to build that cushion of stability, because as Anshuman rightly said, where is stability today? Everything is becoming agile today. Some parts of the world is already in terms of war. The best economy of the world, which is US, is already in doldrums. There's so many things happening. We know what is the condition of Europe, we know what is the condition of UK. So India is today pronged, or is in a position to be one of the finest economies of the world, thanks to the current government, thanks to the way things are getting managed here. But as individuals, or as someone who's staying in this country, what is it that we do to upskill ourselves, to manage ourselves better? I think that is the entire role that an individual has to reflect upon. And there are enough and more content available for one to dabble into and then understand, saying, okay, this is what I feel I can connect myself to. Let me just go a bit deeper on that. Pasand nahi aa raha, koi baat nahi. Let me do something else. It's fine. When I was in college, I did interior designing, I did CFA level 1, I cleared level 1, then I realized that my finance mere bas ki baat nahi, I don't want to get into finance. I enrolled myself into company secretary, appeared for one exam, cleared it. No, I don't want to become company secretary. So I think those things were taking time then, when the awareness level was much lower. But it is becoming much easier today. I can walk into a YouTube video quickly to understand, saying what's my experience. And someone like you, Vikas Dua, where you are talking and sharing your voice on a platform like LinkedIn, can add so much of value any which ways. So I think this is the way I would like to sum it up.
Sure. Thanks, Vivek. Good slant on the fact that there are more things to be done about financial stability today. More options are available, and I like this concept that while the whole new creator economy, entrepreneurship, and these kind of things have are there for everyone, but it's not for everyone to do also. So it takes some doing, and sooner you start, the better. So the assuming that you want to go there, our common friend Ayush from the LinkedIn cohort. Uh, he's agreeing with you. So thank you, Ayush. There is one more question I'm looking for. Yeah, Pramod had asked a question, so which was about building warm engagement. So Pramod, I think we covered this point. So if you could not catch it, please watch the recording later. We did explain that how you can engage with people on LinkedIn, and that may make warmer engagement before you cold mail. Okay. Um, So Vivek, you have the stamp of approval. My father is in the show and he has approved. So
Thank you so much for your blessings. Really means a lot. मुझे मालूम है आप मेरे मेरे पोस्ट पे भी कभी कभी एंगेज करते हैं. सो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर ब्लेसिंग्स. आपका आना ही मेरे लिए एक ब्लेसिंग है. थैंक यू सो मच.
so and then yeah, today is from YouTube. So I'll check with him what he's doing from another.
By the way,
Uh,
my parents are also on the show, so thank you so much for joining in.
oh no, thank you very
My
much.
gratitude to both my father and my mom also who have joined in. My wife and other family members have also joined in.
Good. So you increased our audience by four anyway, and I have contributed by two. But anyway, this is also an opportunity to thank all our viewers. I saw at peak we are 100 plus, and I can only see the audience that I my channels have, and I'm sure your channels have more. But the good point here is, of course, that these shows both are recorded, so anybody who's watching and or wants to recommend these shows to another somebody else to watch as well, you can do using the same links. These recordings are on the same link. So okay, I have taken a few questions, but let me quickly take one question that I wanted certainly to ask you, Vivek. And you are a
Yeah.
big proponent of upskilling, and you and I have had a conversation earlier about side skilling as well, and so on. But I want to take some time, some input from you on how can actually people upskill, particularly when they are in a mid-career, and how should they go about it? So, any input on that so that it can be a little more practical input for our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very, very fair question that you've asked, Anshuman. It's a brilliant question. See, मैं आपको बताता हूँ, Anshuman. Today also, when I meet a lot of my old colleagues with whom I used to work, the moment they see me, one of the common point that they come across is, "Hey Vivek, you have become a LinkedIn influencer. आज photograph खिंचवा लेते हैं. पता नहीं कल खिंचवाने का मौका मिले ना मिले." So my only question to them or response back to them is, "Yeah, I am the same old person as you've always met. So I think you are just creating a barrier in your mind. Otherwise, I am always available and accessible." So I think one of the viewpoint that I generally see into them, and when I look at myself, my own journey is how I've taken career pivots. So आप you are talking about upskilling, तो मैं ज़रा उस upskilling को link करना चाहता हूँ with a variety of different attributes rather than limiting it only to one silver bullet. No, I don't want to link it to one silver bullet. I would like to have an ecosystem of upskilling for individuals of different kinds who do different kind of roles. Now let's talk about it for a few minutes. When I look at individuals, how many of them are aware about Google products? How many of them know the power of simplicity, saying, okay, I can use these simple ways to navigate and transition information in different fashion? That could be one route. How many of them start to think, saying, okay, this is what I'm currently doing. Mera jo bhi role hai, my role is XYZ. There's no standard template. Okay, these are the 10 courses that everyone will have to do. Whosoever does that, I think they may not be really doing justice to people at different levels in their mid-career, because single recipe doesn't fit. Like the way we have spoken earlier in the discussion, one size never fits all. We pick up, say, 10 people between the age group of 35 to 45 or 35 to 50, and there will be 10 unique recipes for them. What kind of roles they've been working for, what's their educational qualification, have they taken up any courses in between, what are the kind of courses that they have taken up, whatever feedbacks that they have been receiving as part of their appraisals, how serious are they? I'll give you a classic example, Anshuman, from a workplace environment. We talk about communication. Now, upskilling and communication, they are deeply integrated. Let me tell you how. The moment we talk about communication, लोगों को लगता है communication मतलब अंग्रेजी में बात करना. Well, that is only a very, very miniature part of communication. Communication is a much broader spectrum, much beyond just verbal communication as well as non-verbal communication. Communication also means that I have given a timeline to XYZ individual saying I'll come back by say day 10th of April by 12 noon. Am I coming back on my own or am I being reminded? I'll give you an example. One of my teammates a couple of years ago, every time that I used to ask a timeline to him, saying, okay, by when are you going to revert back to me? So he used to say that, yes, I will revert back by this time. Uske baad ek hafta aur nikal jata tha. One more week will pass. This guy will never revert. So to me, that is a part of communication. Upskilling is required there. So the moment an individual receives a feedback, even if the feedback is critical, is the individual really working on that? Can that individual take up a few courses connected to that particular attribute? Attributes say connected to discipline, connected to resilience, connected to failure, connected to communication skills, connected to negotiation. So those are some of the foundations connected to data centricity. So today, is there anything that one can really imagine in today's day and age which is without data? Well, very difficult to imagine. कोई भी रोल हो, चाहे वो सोशल मीडिया का रोल हो, चाहे नॉन सोशल मीडिया का रोल. Even for a role like quality, Anshuman, one has to look at data. Quality from a data perspective. आप बताओ आपने ये चीज deliver किया. What is the percentage of time that people have understood? Yeah, yeah. You want to
Actually,
say something?
quality. No, no, sorry. Quality, which is my profession as well. Apart
Yeah,
from
yeah,
being spending time on LinkedIn, which is my daytime profession,
yeah.
data has been an integral part of quality. In fact,
Yes, yeah.
both Deming and Duran, who are considered founding fathers of the subject, are credited to say that, you know, in God we trust, all others bring data. So so that is true. And I just wanted to add one more point on this upskilling thing, and we are nearing the end. I don't want to hold on to you for longer than you committed, but one important point, this comes, I'm sure you are also asked, Vivek, this question a lot, because you are also coaching and counseling youngsters and mid-career people. I do that a little bit, particularly for mid-career people who come and, sir, I want to become a data scientist. I said, fine, who's stopping you? No, no, is it the right thing to do? So my response only, am I the right person to respond to this? You are the right person to respond to it. If you think that you have the background, skill sets, temperament, mindset, perseverance, the ability to survive a long haul, because there is a lot of competition, everybody wants to do those courses, whether they like it or not, people want to do it because it is the trend to do it. Please, and this is similar to the question that was asked earlier, I think by Pramod, or some, yeah, that if you do it because it's the trending thing to do, trend will come and go away in 2 years' time.
Yeah,
And then what will matter is your ability to, go to the long haul. Can you survive or can you endure the long career that will be there once the trend has faded out? Already today, in the last 5 years, you would have seen, you and I have been witness that, in my profession, robotic process automation has come and become very stable. AI ML topics have come and gone. Metaverse, which one of the world's largest, biggest companies changed its name to Meta, is now dumping the concept because it is no longer profitable. In all within 5 years, right? So these attention span of even these technologies or the disruptions are very short now. So please don't upskill. This is for the audience. Please don't upskill because it is the trending thing to do. Trend will come and go. Do you have the core skills? Do you have the perseverance? Do you have the mindset to survive and thrive in that particular new space where you did not have till now any training or background? You are jumping the ship. So do you? I'm nothing against jumping the ship. I have myself jumped a couple of times in my career, but do you have the skill set? Do you have the endurance? Do you have the perseverance when the trend will wipe out or the fade out? So that's the question to ask in terms of upskilling. But Vivek, I don't want to let you go without asking a question about any books or resources, anything that you're reading these days that you want to recommend to our audience, and of course today your audience as well.
Yeah, so I think with your due permission, before I get into the book's answer, can I add one or
Sure,
two
sure,
more
please.
elements with your permission?
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
so I think to all the audience who is still present here or anyone who's going to watch this as a recording, few of my suggestions to manage your burnout. Because the moment we think about mid-career blues, burnout a common phenomena hai, and you may term it differently, you may have your own thought process to understand it. But three steps that I would like to share is one is the power of 4 R's, which is retrospect, reflect, re-energize as well as recovery. So retrospect is आप क्या सोच रहे हो जो आपने किया है, मतलब after something has already happened, how are you drawing learnings from that? Reflection is every single day what you do, what are the kind of learnings that you're drawing on a daily basis. While retrospection might happen for a longer duration, reflection is immediate. You've taken something, done something, what are you drawing from it? Re-energizing is doing the set of things which can bring in the right level of energy for you. Recovery is how, what is the appetite for you to recover from the resilience, from challenges. This is the first power of 4R. Second is feelings and emotions. We all are human beings. We all have our own set of feelings and emotions. आप कैसे मैनेज करते हैं? How are you really managing your own feelings and emotions in different scenarios? How are you vocal about it? With whom do you express? Think about it. Third thing is believe in having a voice of your own, express yourself in whatever situations you are. The moment you start to do these three things, it can really help in variety of different ways. And fourth element is prioritize. Whatever you do, there will always be hundreds of things to do. Prioritize yourself. The next element that I wanted to add is the power of four things, which is your mental well-being, emotional well-being, physical well-being, and spiritual well-being. तो ये चारों चीजों का जो कॉम्बिनेशन है, all of these four things can play around and help you to become a holistic human being in so many different ways. Now, coming Anshuman to your question, I think a couple of big books that have really inspired me or that I've dabbled upon is The Compound Effect. The Compound Effect is by Darren Hardy, an amazing book. It helps you to become better, power of compounding on different levels, different fronts. It has got nothing to do with the industry that you belong to. It has got nothing to do with a specific role that you do, and it also has nothing to do with the age that you are in. So that's one book that I follow. The second book that I really love is Ikigai. Ikigai is all about what you're really good at, what do you really love, and then what is it that you would love to do, and can those things really accumulate together or amalgamate together to for you to getting paid for. So that's the Ikigai thing. The third book that I would like to recommend is The 10X Rule. The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone is again an amazing book. It uplifts you to 10X level. Whatever you work that you want to do, how can you do it 10X? How can you scale it at a different level? So I think these are some of the nuggets that I would like to share with everyone who is there on the call. Thank you so much, Anshuman.
No, I thankfully all the three books, particularly in, Compound Effect and 10x Rule, I've only in the last few months reviewed on my Monday book summary. So
I have no comparison with you, Anshuman. You operate at a different level.
no, no, but glad to know that.
You can only inspire. You can only inspire us. So that's the only one word that I can tell about you.
Thank you, thank you. Uh, Before we close, I can't resist but respond to one point. I think the person's name is Charuta or Charulata or something similar. I didn't catch the full name. But burnout is because of technology at workplace is changing every 5 years. Then how do we keep ourselves? So, who has asked this question? Burnout is not because of technology changing. It is because of our inability to adapt to it, right? So please don't blame the technology will always keep changing. So, and we have chosen to be born at the time that technology is changing. It was easy to be born 500 years ago, and nothing would have changed for 100 years. Life would be fun. Our life expectancy was about 40, 45 years in that time. So I keep saying this, that there was no midlife crisis or mid-career crisis about 100, 200 years ago, because our life expectancy was only 45 years. So we were not living till 75 years or 80 years or 85 years like we do today. So there are very macro multi-century phenomena happening today, and this is our generation is the first time in recorded history which is either enjoying or suffering the consequences of changes happening in our own lifetime. Please look back. Never before in history, the consequences of the changes have happened in the same lifetime. They usually take even the printing press, which I considered as one of the most phenomenal inventions of our lifetime, because after that, the whole civilization has moved really fast. Even printing press took about 50 to 70 years to become something useful. Steam engine took 100 years, 50 years. Right? In our life, we are having all those joys and sorrows of the change in technology in the same lifetime. Sometimes, like the person asked the question, in the same 5 years. So that's a phenomena that we all live in. No point blaming it. Find a way. Be ahead of the curve is all I can say. With that, a lot of comments coming in. Vivek, thank you for your time. And of course, we have Alaknanda also on the show. Thanks a lot. Yogesh, whom I know, who's a quality professional, senior person, and many more. So thank you, Vivek, once again. I always end the show as far as I can with the announcement of the next show. So the next show, Vivek, somebody we know, Papa CJ is my guest next Friday, next Saturday, which is uh, 15th April, same
So
time, 11 a.m.
two celebrities in a single frame.
No,
Huh?
that was today, but he's been very kind. Of course, he's a world-renowned comedian and executive coach. But LinkedIn has this power, friends, that if you are active on it, you can make friends who are otherwise global celebrities, and they treat you like their friends. So I, of course, thank you, Vivek, for the show, and also remind the audience for the next show, same time next week. But the I must thank you and your audience. Fantastic conversation. I had more questions, Vivek, planned, but we could not get to it. But I'm glad we were able to take audience questions, because sometimes in these shows, we miss out on audience questions. It is really the audience that makes these shows. So I'm glad people had questions, and I'm glad you and I could actually take most of those questions. So thank you once again, and to my audience and Vivek's audience as well. See you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Gratitude.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Bye bye.